In response to the escalating Gaza conflict, Arab League representatives convened an emergency meeting in Cairo on Sunday, pressing for immediate international action to address the region's humanitarian crisis. During the 162nd session of the Council of the League of Arab States, Mauritania's permanent representative Hussein Sidi Abdellah handed over the presidency to Yemen's ambassador Riyad bin Omar Al-Akbari. Both representatives delivered impassioned speeches condemning Israeli actions and called for a unified Arab response. They called for vital humanitarian aid, including water and medicine, for displaced Palestinians, and urged pressure on Israel to comply with international rulings.
We as nations, the international community, and civil society organizations must act swiftly and effectively. We need to intensify and unite our efforts to immediately and without delay stop all crimes being committed on Palestinian land. We must provide water, medicine, and all the necessities for a dignified human life for the displaced, facilitate the return of refugees to their homes, support rebuilding efforts, and apply all possible pressure on Israel to ensure compliance with the orders of the International Court of Justice.
In his first address as session chair, Yemen's ambassador Al-Akbari criticized Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's statements regarding the Philadelphia corridor, which borders Gaza and Egypt. Netanyahu's stance on maintaining control over the area has complicated ceasefire efforts, sparking condemnation from Arab states.
The Yemeni government is condemning the statements by the Prime Minister as the occupying entity regarding the Philadelphia corridor. These statements included claims to justify the ongoing Israeli violations of international laws and norms. The Yemeni government expresses its full support and solidarity with the Arab Republic of Egypt in response to these provocative remarks and rejects the Israeli military presence in the Philadelphia corridor and Rafah border crossing. Yemen fully supports Egypt's efforts to achieve a ceasefire.
Al-Akbari further lambasted the United Nations Security Council for failing to curb what he termed fascist Israeli violations against Palestinians.
The United Nations Security Council has failed to put an end to the fascist Israeli violations against the Palestinian people, despite the growing awareness of the free global public opinion that the time has come to break the cycle of Israel's impunity.
He called for joint Arab action to urge the UN and the international community to impose sanctions on Israel, compelling the country to comply with rulings from the International Court of Justice.
In our meetings, we will discuss joint Arab action to urge the international community and the United Nations Security Council to impose effective sanctions on the Israeli occupation and compel Israel to comply with international law, international legitimacy resolutions, and the orders of the International Court of Justice. We will also seek to enforce Israel's compliance with the provisional measures ordered by the International Court of Justice in its 2 rulings.
Netanyahu's comments have also drawn sharp criticism from Egypt and the United Arab Emirates. Both countries have pressed for a ceasefire and an end to Israeli military presence in the Philadelphia corridor. Egypt, which has mediated negotiations alongside the US and Qatar, insists on a clear timeline for Israeli forces to withdraw from Gaza's border areas. As diplomatic efforts intensify, the war in Gaza continues to fuel tensions across the region, with the Arab League united in its demand for an immediate halt to Israeli operations and robust international intervention to protect Palestinian rights.